You're listening to Kayak Flyer with your host, Sean. Tonight, we're brought to you by Tennessee Trailers, OutdoorAdventureTrailers.com. Simply the best way to get your kayak to and from the water. Bajuco Flats Fly Co. Simply the best custom-made fly rods on the market, always built to order just the way you want it. Find Bajuco Flats Fly Co. on Instagram and Facebook. StoneflyNets.com, made 100% in the great state of Arkansas with your choice of woods or burls. Stonefly nets can even be customized for that favorite fisher person in your life. Check out StoneflyNets.com for details. CutthroatFurledLeaders.com, the only leaders that I fish with. Cutthroat Furled Leaders are excellent for saltwater, freshwater, trout, bass, you name it, you can catch it with a Cutthroat Furled Leader. Head to CutthroatFurledLeaders.com, promo code Kayak to save 15%.
Guys, we're really lucky tonight. We've got one of my really good friends on the show, and I mean this with all due respect. I mean, he is a really good friend of mine, and that's Mr. Jeff Tatum from 19 Delta Outdoors podcast. And if you haven't checked this out, this is a live podcast that goes, so it's, I don't know if it's a podcast or not, it's a live show. It's a show. It's a streaming show. They have a podcast as well you can download if you don't catch it streaming. But they do it live on Facebook on 6 p.m. Sunday nights, Central Time. And it's our friend Stacy Howell joins Jeff, and they do a great job. I was lucky enough to be on the show many times. A great experience. And Jeff is an all-around great guy. But 19 Delta Baits is sort of what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about his podcast. We're going to talk about fishing and the lack of availability. We all thought it was bad last fall. It seems to be just downhill all the way. Jeff, welcome to the show once again.
You can't be talking about me like that, man. My head's growing. My microphone, my earphones are not going to fit. And I got a big head anyway.
You're the only man I've ever seen catch a trout on a shrimp and a, what was that, a net head.
It takes talent to do it that way. Hey, at least it wasn't a creek chub, right?
Oh, dude, I still laugh about that. How many of those did Brian catch? That was great.
Matched that Zebco 33, though. Look good.
Oh, I tell you what, he and I are going next week. This podcast will be out before we go.
Right.
So he's got a job, like a different job.
Okay.
And so he was like going to give 2 weeks notice and have 1 week off. And he's like, I'm afraid they're going to fire me. And I said, well, don't give them 2 weeks notice. I said, go to work all week, take Memorial Day off and work all day Tuesday, and then give your notice that Friday. And then if they fire you, you still get paid for Memorial Day. And if they don't, you just work until Friday, and then we can still go fishing.
Well, ain't nothing wrong with that. The river looks good right now. I wish I was on it, but Memorial Weekend is not a good time for the fly fishermen or the wade fishermen. It's really not. There's just so much stuff going on.
We can talk about the girls that go woo on this show.
Well, that's fine if you want to talk about the girls that go woo.
The woo girls will be in full force Labor Day week or Memorial Day weekend, any weekend. Weekend down that river, the woo girls are in full force. And you bought a woo girl party wagon.
Yeah, I did.
So we can put all of our fly fishing gear, so we can fish before the woo girls, and we can sit and drink beer in our camp chairs while the woo girls, and then fish after the woo girls.
I'm tickled to death. I finally ordered a side-by-side. It just took a while. And, man, they're hard to get right now. I know we're going to talk about this later, but 4 to 6 weeks. The biggest town around here is Jonesboro, Arkansas, the closest to me. I went down there yesterday and I pulled in the lot and I had like 30 or 40 side-by-sides and four-wheelers plus four-wheelers and everything else on the lot. And I was like, went into salesman. I said, well, I want to look at four-wheelers. He said, well, you can look. He said, I bet everything on the lot is sold. I was like, what? Dude, there was people in there buying their 10-year-old kids $3,000 and $4,000 four-wheelers. It's crazy.
Stimulus money has to go somewhere.
Well, Polaris themselves, they're not shipping anything to a dealer unless it's pre-sold. That's how they're working right now. Glock is the same way. I ordered a 10 millimeter Glock 29 Gen 3 the other day.
Oh.
Yeah.
What are you doing with your XD?
I'm going to keep it. That's my Barrett gun. That other one's going to be my concealed carry. But
That's a
anyway,
hell of a concealed carry gun.
I'm a big boy. I can handle it.
Well, you can handle it, but Lord, you won't be able to handle the sound when it goes off. I shot that XD, man. That's a handful, and I'm used to shooting big guns.
Yeah. But they told me that Glock has told the dealers, we will ship you what we put out and only what we put out. If you don't want it, we won't send you no guns. So it's a waiting game anymore. It's crazy how much, the market's changed since the nasty COVID. It's just crazy.
Well, I acquired I didn't acquire it. I was asked by a member of my family to refurb a H&R 38 Defender, which, unbeknownst to me, there were basically two of them made. There was one that was made pre-World War II in ramping up for World War II, and one that was made during World War II. And so I ordered a set of grips, and I got the wrong grips, and I sent the guy a photo, and he's like, "Oh, you have this." And I Googled what it was, and I was amazed at the price difference. But the guy who I'm doing it for doesn't have any 38s. And I'm like, yeah, good luck. Good thing that you have me in your life because I can reload them. Because you're not getting, ammunition and fishing supplies, four wheelers, kayaks. I thought they would be back in production this year, but even as we sit here in June, they're not in production. You still have a shortage. And I knew the shortage last year was going to be bad,
Right.
but fly vices, the price of a lot of fly vices have gone through the roof. I mean, it's incredible because people can't get stuff, and so they're gouging the market a little bit here and there.
I went to Academy Sports day before yesterday, and I walked in and I went to the sporting goods aisle, and they had pistols. They had Glocks and normal pistols, which they're like Walmart. They're going to get all the stuff before the normal people get it,
Yeah,
and they weren't that expensive. They weren't marked up that much. But Academy Sports has a whole aisle of ammo.
yeah, they don't now.
No, it was gone. They plugged it with, I think, BB guns and stuff. There's nothing there.
Yeah,
It's amazing. It's scary. I guarantee you, if the market comes back, I'm going to take up reloading.
yeah. I mean, I've reloaded for years. I know this is a fishing podcast, but it's outdoors. Everybody knows I've shot USPSA, but because I shot USPSA, I reloaded a lot,
Right.
and it's a really good thing to have because primers don't go bad. They can sit in the gun safe and stay there for 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Powder doesn't go bad. It's sealed up and it's in a dry environment. It doesn't go bad. And I mean, I'm going to lose a lot of listeners if I deviate into this. I really wish I had a secondary podcast where we could talk about some of this stuff like this and how these things work. So I really don't want to get into it too much, but even like Dooley's Fly Shop, Dooley'sFlyFishing.com, say 15% promo code kayak. Even Dooley, who has a brick and mortar store now, is having trouble getting certain items.
Well,
And it's because the manufacturers, like one of my friends is a manufacturer, he's been on the show, and he is with a large distributor. And basically, the large distributor is asking for twice what they were already asking for
mm-hmm.
and 50% more than what he was already making total.
Wow.
So when he sends out, a case of this to this large distributor, he has nothing left in stock to send to the guys that are going to buy 10 or 12 at a time.
Right.
And that is something that, and kayaks are the same way. I mean, kayaks are horrible. I haven't looked at boats, but I can only imagine what the rush on pontoon boats and party boats and stuff have been. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a great thing for those guys in those markets and those guys doing that stuff. And I'm sure for you with 19 Delta Baits, it's probably a love and hate relationship because you're probably getting a lot more business, but you're probably not able to find as much stuff to buy because everybody's buying it.
Yeah, that was last fall. It's ridiculous. They've jacked the prices up, and we've actually Me and the wife's throwing around, whether to stop doing stuff because, blanks have almost doubled in price. Plastic's gone up. Shipping is, well, when you can get it, whenever you get it. Somebody could order something and I say, well, I have plastic in 2 weeks. It may take a month.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. It's the world we live in now. It's just crazy stuff, man.
So my
So,
question with that plastic, because you make some incredible plastic, soft plastic baits. I've used them. I love them. They're great. Um, I know you're a fan. I know Stacy's a fan. I know you've got a lot of fans. As soon as you drop that you're on this show, my audience will go up double with your show.
I doubt
But
that.
you've got a lot of guys, and it's become very popular. A lot of guys have taken up pouring plastic baits as a hobby,
Right.
and I think a lot of these hobby guys are going to be pushed out because they're just not going to be able to afford to buy that amount of plastic for the hobby fishermen. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to have to cut quality and, go to a cheaper plastic. That's just the way it is. It's like crankbaits. I mean, we talked about this before, but, all crankbaits come from China. All of them. There's only like one manufacturer in the U.S. and they only make two or three different kinds. And it's like anything else from China. It's what factory you buy it from and what quality it's going to be. I can buy blanks all day long at 40 to 60 cents a piece and make money, but they're junk. They're going to fall apart. Instead of me, I'm paying $2 and more for a quality blank, you know. So, they may be switching back to that, people are going to be have to downsize or they're just going to go out of business. This is the way it is. They're going to have to figure something out.
Yeah, but you've actually got some new molds for this season.
Yeah, I've got quite a few molds for this season, tubes and trout baits, which we're going to have to try out. I want to get down here and do some product development.
I'm ready for that. But it's 19 Delta Outdoors LLC.com, correct?
The podcast is 19 Delta Outdoors. The website for the baits is 19 Delta Baits LLC.
Okay, 19 Delta Baits LLC. And is that fully operational yet? Because I looked last week and it wasn't fully
No,
ramped
we haven't
up.
got the website up yet, and we've actually been throwing around whether we're going to do it because if I have another year like I did last year, it's not worth it. By the time you take taxes and everything out, sales were horrible last year. It wasn't quality. People were just strapped for cash.
Yeah.
And then a lot of time people are saying, "Hey, I need this," and I'm like, "I can't get it."
Yeah, I think that's the worst thing is when people want something and you physically can't get
Yeah,
it, just like they can't get it.
yeah,
And I mean, your Ozark Craw and what's you've got a couple of crankbaits that are just absolutely killer, and the painting on them you're not going to find anywhere else. I mean, I
no,
love your crankbaits. They're not cheap. You're not going to Academy and buying a crankbait that the first time you hit a rock, the paint's coming off. I mean, let's just get that right out of the way. I mean,
yeah,
you're making a quality product, and you don't want to make, oh, I can get these, 40-cent bodies
mhm,
and, turn around and sell them for $8
right,
and still make money, but there's no quality to it. And that's one of the things about even your soft plastics. You take pride in how you put those together and following the recipes and getting the colors right. And you've got guys who they only fish your stuff, and that's amazing.
Well, and it's the quality to me. A lot of the guys I cater to, plain and simple, are tournament fishermen. The tournament fishermen don't have a problem paying $15 for a quality crankbait. And if I went down to a cheaper blank, of course I'd make money at it. But let's say they got a fish in there is fixing to win them $100,000 on the line, and they get it towards the boat, and the hook hanger pulls out.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that I think there's a lot of people that think, oh, well, it's all the same. And I've always been somebody that understands there are some things you can go generic on, and there are some things you can't.
Yeah.
And I think people either have the mentality that there's nothing generic that's good at all, or anything generic is just as good, if that makes any sense. And I think that's a problem that we have. I think really that comes from television sets. I mean, when we had tube televisions, there were two manufacturers and Sony. So you're getting one of two tubes or a Sony tube. But fishing is not like that. You know,
Mm-mm.
when you go and you buy quality hooks, that's a big difference in where they're made and crankbait bodies and even soft plastics and how they're poured and the way they're colored and the consistency. These are all big deals that are really important to outdoorsmen. I mean, you go back to guns for a minute. I'm not going to buy a high point and trust my life on it.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to buy a high point and try to shoot a squirrel in my backyard. You know, I'll wind up hitting somebody behind me. I mean, I know how those things function.
You
Um,
throw it at the squirrel.
yeah, you do more damage and be more accurate. But the point being that it's got to be frustrating for you when people want things and you're not there to provide them.
Yeah, especially as a small business. If it's family business. I'm not big time. Never will. Don't plan on being. Uh, and customer service is everything. I've based everything on customer service. Like yours, when you lost your
Hmm.
lures, and I turned around and just sent you a whole new package.
That
You
was
know,
very nice of you, by the way.
well, that's just way you got to do business. If you want to keep business, you want to keep people, you got to treat them right.
Yeah,
I'm not Walmart where you walk in and get your shit and get out.
you just got to charge Stacy Howell more.
Well, that's Stacy. But the funny thing is, I had one of my pro staff the other day. He said, "Dude, what kind of hooks are you using on some 1.5s?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "I've had this bait so long the hooks are wore out." I was like, he wore out triple grip hooks, and the bait was still fishable. So
Yeah,
if that tells you anything,
yeah. I mean, that should tell you everything right there. I mean, honestly, I've got a. Nick was on the show after he won down at Lake Darnell.
yeah,
Won the Hobie BOS down there, and I'm trying to get him to contact you. You know, not that you need to help him out, just that you need your name on the side of his boat, and he needs 3 of your crankbaits and your soft plastics. I mean, you need to charge him double and cut me on half of that.
pretty soon I'm gonna be charging double, and I'm not gonna get anything out of it. That's part of it too. You make it. You got like I told my wife. I said, "What's my time worth?" If my blanks have doubled, my paint's doubled. Electricity's going up, everything else. What is my time worth? Can I get by with spending 30 minutes making one crankbait and only get $2 worth of profit out of it? No, you can't do it.
Yeah,
I mean, you can, but at some point, you got to figure taxes in on it. Arkansas, as great as Arkansas is, they charge you $150 a year privilege fee just to be able to have a license.
oh,
So that on the
yeah,
top of fire and business taxes, which is $350. So, you're talking 500. How many crankbaits do you got to sell to pay that $500 off
and then make a profit worth your
and
time.
then still make a profit
Yeah,
and then
you know,
keep
and
stock and pay $200 for molds? It's tough business, man.
that's one thing I've talked a lot on the show about, and the listeners will know this. But I tie a lot of flies because I find it relaxing. But I never have to sit down and tie flies.
Right,
So like Grant and Todd and Art and all the guys will get a care package at Christmas, like 200-300 flies.
right.
Well, that's a lot of money,
Yeah,
but it didn't cost me anything because I was going to tie them no matter what.
right,
I've probably got 500-600 flies just sitting here in a like one of those store containers. Like you go to the fly shop, they're all set up and they're all organized, and I've got two of those at least full. But I enjoy it. If I were trying to sell those, I think it would drive me insane.
well,
You
but
know,
here's the thing, and it's just like me. All right, if you tie me a crawfish, you're probably going to charge me $6-7,
right?
whatever. Just throwing a figure out there. I can order it for Kenya for $1.50.
Exactly.
Now you may have better quality components, but in a bad economy, that's more appealing to me. The $1.50 fly,
Hmm.
because the stimulus money and stuff's going to run out sooner or later. You know, people are going to start hurting. And I've already seen it. Food prices are going through. I look steaks today. Dude, ribeye is like $13 a pound.
I get mine for free. I've got a winch on the front of my truck, and I just go out and grab a cow alongside the road where I see the fence might be a little, how do you say that, not so tight, and I lasso them and hook it to the winch, and then I just drag them to me.
There you go.
And then halfway home, I roll them over to skin out the other side.
I hope you're not posting this because you're going to have cops waiting on you. Next time a cow comes up missing or a mutilated cow or something, they're going to be calling you.
If PETA is listening to this show, they're already mad. So.
Oh, well, that's PETA.
Yeah, I didn't tell you about this. Did I text you about this? I shaved a squirrel the other day.
Well, you mustn't have been talking about your beard because you still got it.
No, it was roadkill. Like the car in front of me in my little neighborhood hit a squirrel. And my daughter's like, "Why are you stopping?" And I grab it because I keep like plastic bags in my truck because I'm weird, and I throw it in there. And I turn around, we go back home, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Go grab that old beard trimmer downstairs." And I'm out there shaving this squirrel for dubbing because I'm not going to pay $6 for squirrel dubbing. Not when one just committed suicide right in front of me.
Oh, that just says something about a teacher's income.
It does. Especially in Missouri. I go across the river. I drive a mile and a half. I'm making $80,000 a year.
Wow.
But yeah, over here I'm making like 22. That's why I've got the podcast. It's what keeps me rolling in this fat money.
I'll tell you what, you come down here this fall, I'll put you in deer blind, and I guarantee you kill 10 or 12 at a time with a 20.
I'll be selling squirrel dubbing.
Yeah.
Welcome to Sean's Kayak Flyer Squirrel Dubbing. Oh, this is what's fun. But I think there's something about, you talk about the money running out, and I know Missouri just passed where we're not going to extend unemployment benefits.
Right.
So people are going to have to go back to work. And I cannot throw a rock in my area, basically my 3-county area, and not hit somebody hiring.
Yeah.
I think our minimum wage is like $10.15 an hour, and I think they're paying like $12.15 at McDonald's.
The other day, my wife went to Chili's. Chili's, the chain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Open, 10 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock at night. They went up there and said closed till 4 p.m. She went back at 4 p.m. and she was like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "That's all we can staff is one shift. Nobody wants to work."
A bunch of our restaurants around here are like that. And I was thinking about getting a summer job. And I applied at the casino because I don't gamble. So this would be the great place to work, right? It's not like they're asking me to work at a brewery and I drink like a fish, And I put down what I wanted. And I guess the job had tips because, like, after I put in what pay I wanted, I read the job description. And I got a really nice letter saying thank you, but no thank you. I guess $6 an hour at the casino is supposed to be good, but I'm not.
$6 an hour?
$6 an hour at the casino to go around and work with people and visit with people that did slot machines and to take the winners and to cash them out. So you're entirely dependent on getting a tip from a winner.
No,
I'm like, no.
Good there. No.
Yeah, I'm like, no. Because I don't want to work where there's, I want to work I want to get like $15 an hour and work when there's like nobody in the casino.
Right.
I don't want the really good shifts that are busy where I'm making tips.
I mean, you'd be like my daughter. She works at Sonic. Sometimes she gets $100 a day in tips.
Oh yeah, dude. Some of those jobs I had in college.
Yeah.
Oh, bouncing. We as the bouncer, we got tips. The waitresses and the bartenders would all tip us for what we did, and I would walk out with $7,500 depending on the night.
Right.
I mean, that's and honestly, if you're not an old guy like I am now, it's not a bad gig.
The thing is, things got to get back. People got to get back to work, and it's not just you go to Lowe's, there ain't no refrigerators, everything else. And, me and Stacy talked about this the other night on my podcast. Some of it's not due to people working. Taiwan is where all the chips come from for all the
Mm-hmm.
major stuff, all your appliances, four wheelers, cars, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're in a severe drought, and it takes copious amounts of water to make these microchips. So they're not spitting them out.
Normally, memory is $1 a gig,
Right.
and I went to price some RAM for my computer to upgrade because Kayak Flyer got a little bonus. We were going to upgrade our machine, and no, not at that price.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting here looking at the school, and I'm like, hey, you got any old computers that have memory? And I'm, well, I don't know, come look at it. I'm like, oh, I'm coming over to look. I'm doing that tomorrow. I'm going over and looking at all the old computers and pulling out, RAM and seeing what I can find. But it's so bizarre, and I mean, I don't know how you would. I don't think there's anybody to blame. But the fishing industry, the outdoor industry, I think especially, has just been okay. Everybody got a new hobby whenever they were all off work, and we were all celebrating how great that was. We're going to get new people out here. We're going to have more money going into the state coffers. We're going to have more money going into the federal migratory bird coffers. People are out doing this and this and this. And I think it was, I know I was naive because I kept joking about, oh, well, the used prices are going to be great next summer.
Right.
Used kayaks are going to be cheap as all get out. But, Pablo put a thing on Facebook today, and he put, like, your average millionaire drives a 4-year-old car that's paid off. And I'm like, well, yeah, they're millionaires. They can afford a used car. I mean, everything is just seemed, and I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, do I feel frustrated? Do I feel upset? Do I feel happy that people are into the industry? I mean, we may have brand new listeners to this show. I don't know why anybody would find this show and want to start listening to it. But we may have a new listener to the show who's thinking about staying here. But this is sort of a different conversation we normally have. I don't understand how you can. How do I articulate this correctly? Have outdoors and have so many people interested in the outdoors and then have such a shortage. You were talking about even going to Walmart.
Yeah. Yeah. The shelves are like one or even the soft plastics. You look like one or two packs. Weights, forget it. The U.S. did this to ourselves, shutting all the lead refining factories down in the U.S. The EPA did. So all of it comes from third world countries. So there's no lead, and you go in there, and there's hardly any sinkers and stuff like that. And it's just, Stacy told me Bass Pro in Springfield was the same way. They might have one or two facings on products on the shelf. It's getting that bad.
If you can get up here and you've got a pick and a shovel, I can take you to a lead mine. We've got them all over up here, and we were extremely prosperous. I can drive an hour and a half, and I've got ghost towns where there's giant lead mines, and
Yeah,
the entire towns have just died because we quit doing lead.
yeah,
And it's sad.
yeah. It
It's
is.
sad because it's taken away from people's ability to earn a living.
Right.
Now, is lead the best thing for the environment? Well, it's better for the environment than it is for you to, like put it on top of your sandwich. But, you know,
It's like coal. You have
yeah,
coal and gas. Yeah, you got electric cars. Yes, you have nuclear power, but you can't just make the switch all of a sudden and not hurt the people down
yeah,
the chain.
yeah.
If we just all of a sudden said, okay, no more gas cars, we're not selling no more, you know, what would that do to the economy? So,
I
you
mean,
know,
think about this. What I mean, we all stop at a gas station and get, 25, well, 30, 35, $40 worth of gas now, 6 pack of beer and a sandwich and a bag of ice before we go out to go fishing.
right,
What happens when there's all electric cars and there's no more gas stations? This was something that just blew my mind the other day. I'm sitting there thinking, so now I've got to go and I've got to charge my car, and then I've got to go to the grocery store and get me a to-go sandwich and a bag of chips, and then I've got to go to the liquor store because Some places they don't sell liquor in the same place. You have to go to a designated liquor store. And then I've got to get my bag of ice. I'm like, hell, it's 10:30 before I get out of town.
Well, me and Stacy had a conversation yesterday. What happens if one of your relatives and they get sick or die and they live 500 miles away? Those cars only got 300-mile batteries on them. What are you going to
Yeah,
do?
now from my past employment, I do know there are fast chargers.
Yep.
And when I say fast, it's like 3.5 hours compared to 9 or 10.
Right.
But you're still trying to get somewhere in a hurry and you've got to stop for a 3.5 hour charge.
Yep.
That's a lot of time. Or
Oh,
like even you or I, if you and I went to Louisiana, if we went to Grand Isle, we couldn't make the trip. We'd have to stop and do it overnight to charge.
yeah.
You know, because we fill our tanks up like 3 times. And our tanks go 300 miles. You can get 300 miles on average. I figured this out between Harley Davidsons and every vehicle I've had. You usually get about 300 miles out of a full tank of gas,
Right.
and we're filling up twice at least and rolling it on fumes. I would hate to have to add 2 or 3 more days to my fishing trip just to charge my car. But I've been in a Tesla and they are really cool. Just
Oh,
saying.
I've never been in one.
Oh, 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds. Hello. Oh, if you're an adrenaline junkie, you want a Tesla with ludicrous mode.
Yeah, but you may outrun my Dodge truck, but about 300 miles, I'm going to pass you on by. It's like, hey, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, how are you doing? Especially and this is the thing, when you go into like that ludicrous mode on those Teslas, you don't get that range.
No.
You know.
But back to your subject. It's the lead. They can't. They can't shut everything down at all at once like they did, and it just and it makes us more dependent on China too and other third world countries. There's got to be a cleaner way to smelt lead.
Well, here's the thing: is even your tire weights. Like you used to be able to go and get tire weights and make sinkers and bullets.
Mm-hmm.
And tire weights are all bimetals now. So there's hardly any lead. It's hardly worth going to it's not worth buying the lead from the guy at the tire shop anymore.
Right.
So now he's losing money because he was selling 5 gallon buckets of lead for $20. You know what I mean?
I just think as a fisherman, I think we're just seeing the beginning of it. I think prices are going to go crazy on us. I really do. It's some places got to catch up. You know,
As a fisherman, how long until we have to stop using lead? I mean, as a fly tire, there's lead-free wrap everywhere.
right.
Tungsten beads are everywhere. Brass beads have been there, but your lead dumbbell eyes are getting harder and harder to find. And when you buy them from Amazon, you're buying them from China. How
You know,
long
a
are we
lot
going to be able to keep that as a fisherman?
a lot of people, Stacy being one of them, fish tungsten. I can't afford tungsten. I
Oh, it's
can't.
high. It's higher than cat
Well,
tennis.
imagine what we did back on the river, drift fishing for, bait through the rapids, for
Yeah,
trout. I might lose 50 cents worth of split shot in a day. But if I was fishing tungsten, I'd probably lose $5 worth.
exactly.
And this,
And that's a huge thing. Is I understood, like a lot of my friends who duck hunted, especially their dads, who they duck hunted with their dads when Missouri made lead shot illegal for waterfowl.
right.
I mean, they lost their mind
Yeah.
because you can hit a duck so much further with lead shot.
It's
You
like
know,
shooting a pillow if you shoot one with lead.
I mean, ducks with lead shot are a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they've got to be getting in. You've got to watch your shot. You've got to change your cylinders. You've got to change everything else out. And there was a big hubbub about it. And I kind of agreed. I'm like, yeah, ducks do eat rocks and things like that, and that's how their stomachs work and this and that. But I'm sitting there going, after I've seen a couple of things on social media and I've read a couple of articles, and I'm sitting there going, I'm really not sure that they're going to let us fish with lead much longer or have any kind of shell with lead in it. It's all going to have to be a bimetal, a bimetal sinker, something that's not lead.
Yeah, I can see it coming. It's and this the COVID thing and getting the lead from China may put the nail in the coffin for lead and may
Yeah,
do it. The tungsten companies may be like, hey, we can fill in the gap, and people go to tungsten and never come back.
yeah, but
Or maybe
tungsten is just so expensive.
there's got to be something else out there. You talk about duck hunting. They went when they first made lead illegal. They come out with bismuth and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
Black Cloud, that was the best shotgun
Oh
shell out there.
yeah,
Black Cloud,
I was
but that
gonna
stuff,
say.
back then it was $12, $13 a box.
Yeah,
Now it's like,
shotgun shells were like $3 a box.
yeah,
I
they're
mean, there
like,
was a huge, significant increase in. I know buying steel shot and business shot is insane compared to buying lead shot. I
I
mean,
used to goose hunt a lot, and that was my passion. I loved going out and crawling through the fields and mud after them and sneak up on them, shoot them. But Black Cloud went to was $30 a box,
yeah,
and it was going to be, and you might go through 4 or 5 boxes in a day.
yeah,
By the
it's
time
like
you
dove hunting.
gas and everything else, it just ain't worth it enough. But they'll figure out something. And like you said, I don't think lead's gonna, be here much longer. And this COVID crap may put the nail in the coffin on lead.
Yeah,
May do
and
it.
that's and I mean, I think, and one of the reasons I wanted to have you on tonight was not so much to talk about fishing, but to let our audience know all the things that are going on right now in fishing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're at a position where no matter who you vote for or how you lean, if you're a fisherman or an outdoorsman, you need to look at those individual policies because there's no one party that has the perfect policy. And I've
No.
always said that. But you need to look at those policies and see which ones work because, we're really being impacted when I mean, I'll just go ahead and say it. I was going to buy a Griffin Vice. I was going to upgrade from a Spider to a Montana Mongoose. Well, last year at Christmas, and my wife's like, "No, wait, it's gone up $96
Wow.
in less than a year." Now I could call Bernie, and I know him; it's not a big deal. But the fact that a fly vice went up $96 in a year,
It's crazy.
and it's because you
It's
can't
gonna
get enough of them.
it's gonna continue go up until the a lot of the problem with our country is we're in that just in time delivery stuff, and I think a lot of it's due to taxes on back stock and stuff like that, stuff
Mhm.
that you have in stock. And that's one thing I got to deal with every year is inventory. If the government would back off a little bit and let these companies, have some stockpile, I don't think it would have hurt us so much when COVID come through. Like with
Right.
Walmart,
Well, look,
Walmart 2, 3 days, Walmart's empty if they don't get a
yeah,
truck.
exactly, and that's scary. And a kid that grew up on a farm
Yeah,
that always had, if nothing else, we had eggs every day. You know what I
right.
mean? I think that a lot of us have lost that. I mean, you and I are roughly the same age. We grew up in the same time period. We didn't have bicycle helmets. We didn't have elbow pads. Our parents didn't really care where we were.
Right.
And now we look at the world today, and it's like, well, why can't you? Why do you have to shoot a deer? Why can't you just buy your meat at the store like everybody else? And it's like, uh, meat's meat, you know.
Anymore,
Um,
it's cheaper to buy it from the store, but
yeah, anymore, I'm gonna tell you, you go and get one processed. Oh my, it's like taking and catching a fish and taking it into the lodge and having them cook it for you.
right,
I'm like, dude, I know how to cook a fish. I learned how to cook for a reason. I grew up on squirrel and
right.
possum, you know.
Well,
But
me and Stacy are going on a guided fishing trip next week, and
where at and why was I not invited?
we're going to do it for our YouTube channel. We're going to do a guided striper trip, 2 days on Lake
Uh,
Norfolk.
oh, really?
Yeah,
So Stacy and I are doing that?
we'll see how it goes, and if it goes good, we'll get you up there one weekend. We'll do another one.
Oh yeah, let's see how long Sean stays in the boat.
But it's like It went up too. And
Oh yeah.
last year for a full day was $300. It's $350 now.
Oh my God. My buddy Ben Woodard down at Cotter,
Yeah.
he's booking. He is now booking for August. Well, I guess 3 weeks ago he was starting booking for August.
Wow.
And I'm like, dude, how much for two people a half day? And he's like, no, I don't do half days. He's like, I'll do a half day, but you pay for a full day.
Yeah.
I'm that busy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn.
You need to talk to him, but we need to get a trip up there and see if he can get to the dam and on the White River. And they do
Mm-hmm.
that shad kill every fall, and the the shad come out of Lake Norfolk
Yeah.
dead
Yeah.
and go into the river, and they have just like a feeding frenzy, and
Oh,
that's when you catch some of the biggest trout.
yeah. It's like catching white sharks.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just they're just all blah, you know.
it'd be a lot
Actually,
of fun.
and
It's something I've always wanted to do, but it's time specific.
yeah,
It's one of those the guide has to call you and say you have to be here tomorrow.
yeah, yeah. I'm actually I have a boat lined up. Um, it doesn't have a title, and the engine doesn't have a title. So once I figure that out, I have us a boat for three people to
That'd be
take
awesome.
on the spring or the white or whatever deep enough river. It's a Mississippi River boat is what it is. But I have that set up for us. So hopefully by middle of July we can do whatever we want to do, and we can
Hopefully
put
by
the
the
YouTube on yours and on mine.
right. I'm gonna plan. And a lot of people think, okay, I'm paying this guide $350. Okay, if you just go out there and it's $350 for two people though.
Yeah, but you're
Okay,
paying 450 because you're going to tip him $100.
I ain't tipping him the hundred
Oh,
bucks.
you got to tip your guide. That's you got to tip your guide because a lot of
And
those guides are only getting like $50.
he's the
With
owner.
Oh well, that's different. But you still need to tip your guy. You got to tip your guy,
I will if he does
especially
a
if
good
he's
job.
well. He's gonna have to bait your hook. We all know
No, he ain't baiting my hook, man. But it's it's went up. That's went up, and I can
that.
understand because gas has went up. And boats don't
Oh
run on
no,
free.
no.
And I'm hoping by what I was going to say before I got
Rudely
sidetracked here
interrupted.
is well, I was trying to be nice, but anyway, um, the if you just go to have a good time, it's great. But if you go like me and Stacy, we both fish, so I'm going to be learning. I'm only 45 minutes away from Norfolk. I'm going to be watching his graph. I'm going to be watching where we're at, ballpark. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to follow him around, and I'm going to put that to use.
Yeah,
So that's a $700 fishing lessons what 2 days is going to be,
right.
you know, which, it's like your average guy, who trout fishes. If he went fishing with me, I would teach him a new way to do it. And he might like it, kind of like you were like,
Yeah,
you're going to do what?
yeah,
And you were
exactly.
probably kind of skeptical.
Yeah, I was like, seriously? What? I mean, like, huh? Like, we're gonna use spinning rods and not fly rods,
Yeah.
and we're gonna use shrimp and not power bait, and we're gonna. They don't live in the riffles. They attack from the sides. I mean, I never catch trout drift in a riffle. I always catch them like at the bottom of the pool
Mm-hmm.
or ambushing from under a rock. I mean, and then you're out here like, oh yeah, just throw it in the riffle and went, bam, hook up. And I'm like, what? You know,
Well, it just comes from experience. It's kind of like a guide. The guide we're going with, he's been all the major uh, magazines and TV shows. And a buddy of mine that does a radio show, he does a live lake fishing report with this guy every week. You're paying for the knowledge.
yeah,
That's
you
what you're
are.
paying for.
You are. And I think that's one of the great things about, and even with social media, one of the great things about social media, because there's like one great thing, everything else is trash. Um, but the ability to meet people, like I have met, like I knew you before. We talked on social media, like we knew each other, we'd seen each other, we'd been around one another. But some people that I've met on social media that I've been lucky enough to go fish with, and they do something different than I do.
Right.
And that is, that ability for community or just to express how those things go. And I think you and Stacy do a great job on 19 Delta Outdoors, Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Central on Facebook, 19 Delta Outdoors. You guys do such a great job talking about the places you're fishing and explaining how you do it. That it's very educational. I mean, Stacy loves those ribbon worms, and he talks about all the different ways he fishes them, and he like talks about them like all the time.
Right.
And he talks about aliens a lot, but
Oh, by
um,
the way, we're having some bobbers made with aliens on them in 19 Delta Outdoors. Do I need to put your name on one?
yes, put my name on one. I need my name on one.
50th episode show. We're gonna have a special show and we're giving away a bunch of stuff. So that's gonna be one of them. I'm having them specially made just
Am
for
I
that
gonna?
show.
Are you gonna have like a pre-recorded message for me to play about aliens?
Maybe the aliens will come down and deal with all our shortages for us. Maybe
I'll
that's
tell you
what.
what. If they can figure out how to do that rocket propulsion, they can figure out how to make lead-free lead.
Yep.
You know.
But
But you
yeah,
know
well,
what is non-toxic? You know it's non-toxic and weighs as much as lead.
just expensive.
Gold.
Gold.
We should just use gold sinkers.
There we go. Well, we're gonna let you supply them then.
Well, I've got a little mine out here in the backyard. I put the kids in every night.
Would he was talking about our show. We just try to take it, be more educational, family friendly, educational. Try to teach people, and I'm
Yeah.
bad about getting off on politics and all that kind of stuff. And Stacy reels me in. It's actually really funny. Sit there and watch Stacy reel me in. He's all of a sudden, well, back to fishing here.
Yeah. I liked it the other day when Stacy was like, "What are we going to talk about tonight?" And you and I were like hunting and fishing. He's like, "We talk about that every week." And it's like, "Yeah, it's a hunting and fishing podcast." And I'm like, "Dude, we talk about hunting on mine, or fishing on mine. We don't talk about hunting on mine." And I do a weekly show too. I think we've got enough topics.
Yeah, I mean, we've actually learned going into this after 43 episode. I think that's 44 of what we're on.
That is so cute. We're in our
We
fourth
just
year.
Yeah, that's cool. I think we're gonna celebrate our first year next episode. But we don't script nothing anymore. There's no agenda. It's straight just talk. You know.
Well, I think that's how you get a better feeling for people.
Right.
I had Rick from Oasis Benches on a while back, and Rick sent me a flight organizing table and a dunning brush table. And I was just blown away by his generosity. But what got me was just sitting and talking to him. It was like 10 minutes about what he did, but then it was 50 minutes of his experiences with the Apache trout, which is a native trout species to New Mexico. And I invite these guys on the show. I'm like, you can talk about whatever it is your product is because I like to hear about products and stuff. That's something I watch YouTube videos on new products. I'm weird, but the best part of it is when everything just stops. You just start talking about fishing, or whatever it is you're passionate about.
Yeah, it is, and you know the tough part about it anymore. I am the way I am. I'm gonna sit here and talk on this show the way I am. If you sit and Sean can tell you, if you're sitting here drinking a beer, I'd be talking the same way I am right now. Maybe a little more politics in it, but I can't do
And
that.
a few more swear words.
Few more cuss words. Yeah, I'm bad about that. But like you said, it's a good way to you learn somebody by listening to them.
Yeah.
Like you, I don't know what episode you're on, probably 100 something,
No, I'm on like 300 and something. Honestly,
300
I do
something.
believe I
Most people
quit
ought to know you
numbering
by now.
them. I quit numbering them. I know we started the show in I think 2018.
Right.
28. Yeah, I think it was 2018 when we started the show.
Yeah, but your viewers get to learn who you are. If you script
Yeah,
things like we started out, it was so dry and it was
yeah,
like watching paint dry
yeah,
and people didn't know who you are.
yeah,
And if you
yeah.
let a little personality in, it's what you need to do, and show people how passionate you are about the outdoors. And I'm that's way I love it. I talk bass fishing. I make bass fishing stuff, but I'm passionate about trout fishing.
Yeah.
You may see me with a spinning rod one week. You may see me with a fly rod the next week.
Yeah.
The next week, you may see me fishing with bass with a spin bait caster.
Yeah.
That's just the way I am.
And I think this is a great segue to talk about Sean and Jeff's podcasting lessons that you can now purchase, where we teach you how to be excellent podcasters, even if you know nothing about fishing.
Well, I think we need to buy some lessons from somebody else, don't we?
No, Trish, we're supposed to be the professionals, man.
Well, 1995, or 3 payments in 1995,
Yeah,
you can learn from the best, Sean, how to be a good podcaster.
yeah. Sean and Jeff will walk you through in 3 easy 1 hour steps. And you get the
Yeah,
bonus of being a guest on this show.
there you go.
There you go. Oh, so dude, we're fishing. Did I tell you about my hand?
No, I've seen that, man. You look like that dude off Scary Movie. This is my strong hand.
Yeah, dude. I had a little bit of health issue there for a minute, and my wife was like, "Hey, it would be really relaxing if you and your son went outside and did a DIY project."
Right.
Evidently, fuel alcohol rocket was not the correct project.
Wait a minute,
So,
wait a minute. The fuel, which alcohol are we talking about? The kind you drink or the
no,
kind you put?
the explosive kind.
Okay. But were
Yeah.
you having the alcohol with the explosive kind?
Yes. I
Oh,
was
see,
having the
that's what
drinky
happened to
kind.
the
I was
hand.
having the drinky kind and the explosive kind, and then I didn't realize my fingers were that close to the igniter when I flipped the switch. But we had a successful launch.
Well, a whole lot of screaming and cussing and probably an emergency room trip.
Honestly, no, it was a very calm feeling that I had. And I went inside and I went to the bathroom and I got the gauze and the Silverdene that I had from when I put my leg against my Harley Davidson muffler after a 2 hour ride while it was still
Mm,
running.
mm.
So I have a nice matching finger to go with a nice matching oval on my leg. And I'm lucky enough to have several friends that are nurses, and I called them and sent them photos, and they were like, "You've done this to yourself before. Just take care of it." And it's healing nicely. But I made a video. I made a fly tying video. I'm in the fly tying video. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that was my finger. I blew it up the other day. I'm sorry. Please go ahead and watch the rest of the video."
If you do that again, it only requires one kind of alcohol. The other one's the one that's going to get you in trouble, not the fuel.
I figured that out.
Well, that's life lessons, man. That's the only way to learn is by
Well,
lessons, I guess.
I thought my trigger cord was too long and creating resistance, so I shortened my trigger cord, and I didn't expect the flat. I didn't know heat rises. That's the thing.
Teacher, and you didn't know heat
I'm,
rises.
I teach poetry. My favorite book's The Old Man and the Sea. Help me out. Who knew heat rises?
Well, even the old man in the sea was out there getting burnt in the sun.
Well, the sun comes down on you, not rising up.
You never seen where it hits the concrete and goes back up?
No, I don't walk on concrete. I'm a nature boy like Ric Flair, baby.
Oh, Sean, you're a mess.
Dude, I am a mess tonight. I am an absolute mess tonight. I came
You can get
home.
on the river.
Dude, I need to. I came home and I drank 2 beers and then I took a nap. And then I got up and I drank 3 more beers and then I got on here with you.
You can get on the river. I'm hoping I get back from vacation and about
Well,
the third.
don't
Well,
don't say
actually,
don't say any dates on air,
oh
but
yeah,
text me because I am free until like August 17th. I think is my first day I have to do anything.
right.
So I'm living. Just you don't even have to show up at the cabin. I'm just coming down for like a week. Bring
Well,
my
hopefully I'll have
22
that
out.
side by side, and we'll be able to just cruise on down the river and fish for a couple days and enjoy it.
I'm gonna do nothing but eat freshly shaved squirrel and trout.
Oh man, I'm not holding it while you shave it, and you're not using my beard trimmers either.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of pink squirrels for sale if we ever get a page set up where people can buy things. We're gonna be selling squirrel flies out the wazoo, man.
Yeah, I'm ready to get on the river though, and I think that's more relaxing than anything.
It is.
You know,
I like to sit and tie flies. I really do in the wintertime. There's nothing I like more than firing up the wood stove and having a really dark stout, heavy stout, and a couple of slices of really hard, rich cheese, and maybe an apple slices, and just sitting there and having a bite and a drink and tying a fly. That to me is the only thing that can even begin to compare to the river. But going to a pond and fishing, yuck. Going to the lake and fishing, hitting that river where that water is there and that sunlight is there, and those
the
fish
girls will
are
go, woo.
girls that go, woo, man, that's the bee's knees.
You come back and you're so tired, and I don't care. I'm just going to throw a burrito in the microwave, a TV dinner. I'm going to get a shower, and I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm
and
back
then
at
you
it
get
the
up
next
at
day.
5 o'clock the next morning ready to
Yep.
do it again.
Yep.
That's the beautiful thing is, even if you only sleep for like 6 hours, 5 hours, you're up and ready to go the next morning because it's so much fun.
That's the good way to enjoy being wore out. I'd rather be wore out doing that than working.
Oh, well, since when did you start working?
You better ask my wife. She's been keeping me busy around here.
I tell you what, work is a four-letter word. I prefer employment.
Yeah. But hopefully my stuff will get on. I actually went to put the boat in the water the other day. I got tired of looking at it, and you know, but I enjoy more being on the river.
Yeah, the
I can be
river is
out in
just
that lake, and it's just like, man, I'm sitting in a boat. I'm dry. I got a cooler, but I'd rather be waist deep or nipple deep in the water with a pair of shorts on, pair of water, wading shoes or swimming shoes
yeah,
where the water's 54 degrees and just be standing in a river. That's just me. I don't, that's just who I am,
There are people that grew up with a pool. There are people that grew up with a pond. There are people that grew up with a lake. And you and I, we grew up with the rivers.
That's the way I am. I
And,
used to swim in muddy old Cache River down here
yeah,
in Arkansas when growing up. I grew up on the river. That's just
yeah,
the way it was.
it is.
You know,
It's amazing. And I'll tell you what, guys, if you do me a favor, comment on this on YouTube. Tell me about your favorite river moment, and we'll randomly select somebody for a cutthroat world leader. And leave your, I guess, like the way that I guess I can contact you through Facebook. But anyway, yeah, you leave your stuff so I can get a hold of you, or you email me at kayakflyerpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll randomly select one of the folks for a free cutthroat world leader. Jeff, buddy, yeah, I know where your cabin is. I think I'm just coming down. I know where the key. I know where the extra key is. I'll see you on Tuesday. You know, and I'm
just
not telling you which Tuesday, just a Tuesday, a random Tuesday.
leave the rent in the refrigerator for me, will you?
Yes, I will leave the rent in the refrigerator.
And
And
clean up after yourself. No beer cans. Take them home with you.
yeah, no beer cans. But before we get going, tell everybody about 19 Delta Outdoors.
Yeah, 19 Delta Outdoors. It's me and Stacy. What you basically see here is what you get. Every Sunday, 6 p.m. live on Facebook. And then we go to the major podcast networks the next day. And then 19 Delta Outdoors on YouTube. I think it gets put on there Monday. We haven't really grown the YouTube channel. It's something that just started new. But this fishing trip's going to be on there. So we're going to start adding to the YouTube channel. And I'm hopefully me and Sean will record some footage this summer from some trout fishing. That side by side will make it a lot easier for us getting up and down the river, and we should be able to do it a lot more. And yeah, check out 19 Delta Baits on Facebook. The website's not up yet, and I don't know if it's going to go up. But if you need anything you see on there, just send me a message on Facebook. Just hit message right there on the page.
And I will start sharing the YouTube link from now on. Now that I know you're on YouTube, to the Kayak Flyer Facebook page for anybody, and I will try and I'll try and add a thing in Instagram where people can find you from mine as well, because you guys put on a great show and have so much interaction. This show we don't do live, so people can't interact with us. Your show, if they're watching it on Facebook, they can type messages and you guys answer questions, which is such an awesome component of the show.
We try, and I really like the shows when people interact with us, and a lot of times me and Stacy will say we're just going to take questions, and we don't have nothing we want to talk about, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it don't, but I love hearing from the viewers and answering questions the best we can, and if we don't know, we'll find out from somebody who does know.
And
We got friends that are biologists and everything else, so
you get some hecklers once in a while, which makes the reading entertaining.
yeah, especially Sean.
That guy's a jerk. That guy is a jerk.
Guy from Kayak Flyer, man, he bombs our page once in a while. So.
I tell you what, it's horrible. You get these people that are like that. They don't have any sense of respect or compassion or kindness for others. Jeff, this has been great, buddy. I mean, talking to you for an hour is like talking to you for like 2 minutes. I mean,
I don't know,
you know how.
went quick, didn't it?
Oh, you know how you and I are. I mean, shit, we've been fishing together a dozen times. We're buddies. We talk on the phone all the time. It's man. I hope the listeners enjoyed this. It's a little bit different from what we've been having on the show. This is a lot different, and this is just us hanging out with two fishermen and talking about the industry. So I
Yeah.
hope they liked it. If they didn't like it, shit, they're not paying my bills.
See, that's the attitude to get your hand burnt.
I already got my hand burned. This is Kayak Flyer for Sean and Jeff. I hope to see you guys after a while. I promise that I'll be back next week. Things have been so screwy with the end of the year, school and his vacation. He's at Disney right now. He's an asshole. So we're going to get it back in the show. Talk to you guys later. Good night.